Hello, it's week 17 of season 3 of the Andy Griffith Show. This week's episode title is High Noon in Mayberry. Buddy, what's up this week? I got a letter at the courthouse. It's a dividend check for some stock that I own. And then Andy gets a letter from a guy named Luke Comstock. Andy had wounded him in the leg in a gas station robbery back in 1952. And then Luke went to prison. And then, last we heard, Luke's leg had gone kind of game. And the letter says that Luke wants to come see Andy to set some things straight. And I say, well, he should have known better than to hold up that service station in the first place. And he shot at you first, remember? And you could have killed him. But you didn't. What a nerve. Now he's coming here to gun you down for revenge. And Andy says he's not at all sure that that's what the letter really means. But you say it sure does sound like that's what it means. So you say, Andy, why don't you just be safe, get out of town for a few days, go to the mountains, go fishing. And Andy says no. So I decide to take matters into my own hands. I try to deputize Otis and Goner to give Andy some extra protection. And Otis doesn't want to go along with it at first, so I say, now you listen to me, Otis. If anything happens to Andy, we might get us a new sheriff. And if we get a new sheriff, he might not be so easy on you. We're here to protect one of the all-time greats, and how you can even think of backing down is beyond me and mine. So I swore them both in, and I say they've got to protect Andy without his knowing it. So I tell him just to happen to be where he is at all times. And that night I'm playing dominoes with Andy, and then I hear Goner signal that he's here to keep watch. So I leave. Oh, and then Otis shows up for his watch, and Andy hears him, and then he sees him, so he smiles to himself that they're doing this for him. And then Aunt Bee hears Otis, too, from her bedroom window, and she says, "Who's there?" And Otis meows like a cat. So Aunt Bee drops a tan out the window to scare it away. And the next day in the courthouse, Andy tells me it's silly to have Otis and Goner looking after him. And I say, all right, you won't protect yourself, so we decided to protect you. What's so terrible about that? And then he says, Comstock might not even show up. But then the audience sees a guy getting off the bus, limping, carrying a rifle case. And then I hear about that, and I go tell Andy, and I say, now I don't care what you do, but me and my boys are going to be on our toes. I don't want to discuss it any further. And now Aunt Bee is worried too. And then Andy gets a call at his house from Luke, saying he's coming over. So Andy sends Ultie and Aunt Bee over to Clara's house. And then he admits to Ultie, before Ultie leaves, that he is a little nervous and scared. And Aunt Bee calls me from Clara's house, and I tell her, you just leave it a big door, Aunt Bee. I'll handle it. Just stay calm. Everything's going to be fine and dandy. So now that Andy's alone, he loads his pistol, and in the courthouse, you issue rifles to Otis and Gomer, and then Luke comes to Andy's house and rings the bell, and he tells Andy, when Andy opens the door, that his business won't take too long. And then I pull up in the driveway in the squad car with Otis and Gomer, and we see Luke through the window talking to Andy, holding a rifle. But you don't know that he's bringing the rifle not to shoot Andy, but to give it to him as a gift, to thank him for helping him get his life together and stay away from crime after he got out of prison. So we cut off the tower to the house, and while Andy goes to investigate, we rush in the house, and then we fall over each other, and we get tangled up in some rope that we had dropped. And the next day at the courthouse, I say, well, how was I supposed to know? I can't read someone's mind, for gosh sakes. Comstock is an ex-con. I took it from there. Why don't we just forget about it? Take a look. So Andy smiles to himself that you care about him so much. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week for episode 18.